just drop a documentary, he dropped a warning. And now the question shaking the industry isn't whether it's real, it's how much worse the unreleased footage could be. 50 Cent is back in the spotlight once again, but this time it feels different. Darker, calculated, like someone who knows something the rest of the room doesn't. When his Netflix documentary on Diddy premiered, the headlines exploded. Social media burned, fans dissected every frame, but according to 50 himself, what the world saw was only a fraction of the real story. The series was limited to just 4 episodes. 4. That's it. And because of that restriction, he says, some of the most explosive material was cut. Not softened, not edited, cut entirely. One allegation in particular never made it to air, and this is where the temperature changes. 50 claims there was footage suggesting Diddy secretly fathered a child with a woman once romantically linked to Tupac Shakur. Let that sink in. Tupac, Diddy, a shared connection, a secret child, and somehow it didn't make the final edit. Why? Time constraints, he says. But in a story layered with decades of tension, rivalry, and unresolved questions, that explanation feels almost too convenient. Instead of waiting for a second season, 50 has hinted he might release the unreleased material directly on YouTube. No network filters, no corporate gatekeepers, just raw footage. Since the documentary dropped, he claims even more insiders have been reaching out with new information. That alone raises the biggest question of all. What is really driving him to go this hard? Some fans say it's petty beef, old rivalry, clout chasing. But comedian TK Kirkland insists people are missing the deeper motive.
That Diddy could have gotten with. He chose 50 Cent's baby mother.
It's a lot of variables to this particular question. Because I talk to a lot of people, older, younger, even my daughter, who's 22, she didn't understand it. So people give their opinion based on what they've experienced and their environment, people they've been around. So to the people that understand boundaries and respect, I always tell men you should never date another man's girl if you're not.
TK says the real issue isn't business, it's personal. According to him, out of all the women in the world, Diddy chose to get involved with the mother of 50 Cent's child, and that changed everything. TK explained he has never knowingly dated a woman who had been involved with one of his friends. That's a line you don't cross, especially not in a circle where respect is currency. And here's what makes it more explosive. Diddy isn't short on options. Global fame, massive wealth, access beyond imagination. So why that specific woman?
The baby mother of one of his rivals.
Exactly.
Someone who had been taking shots at him for years.
Absolutely.
On purpose.
And he went after her knowing that they had beef.
Right. And slutted her out.
Slutted her out.
Just slutted her out.
Slutted out.
Having a whole basketball team, run a train on her. And
I
just
totally
the whole
agree.
thing, right?
Totally agree.
Right.
But his reputation from when he worked at Uptown, I'll be sure's girlfriend.
Oh, Kim Porter.
Kim Porter.
Right.
That's his reputation.
I'll be sure his baby mother.
Baby mama.
Yeah.
Then Eric Serum, his friend, the one that had she had his baby, Mia. So he's had a reputation of going after people.
Tupac's ex-girlfriend. He got a baby with her too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my point that I'm making to the men listening, well, if you don't understand this, then you're just poorly educated and don't really have common sense. It's a no-no. There's no way I would go after Vlad's ex-girlfriend.
Right.
I'm so loyal that if I met a woman and she said, oh yeah, I stay Vlad, I can't with you, babe.
Right.
I wouldn't even put excuse my language, because that's how I move. Other people don't move like that, but you see me in Paris, you see me all over the world. Why would I want to do that?
TK believes it wasn't random. He believes it was intentional, especially considering the long history of tension between the two moguls. But just when the documentary seemed like a victory lap for 50, another storm rolled in. Gandiel stepped forward with accusations of his own. He claimed parts of the documentary weren't original, that his ideas were allegedly used without proper credit. Suddenly, the exposer was facing exposure. Gan also addressed rumors fears that more footage could drop online, and his message was bold. If additional content is released, he believes Diddy won't be able to stop it. In his words, if the documentary could have been shut down, it would have already happened. That statement alone shifts the power narrative, because if true, it suggests something critical. Either Diddy's influence isn't what it once was.
I seen an interview about, he said that he had a lot of footage had to be down, the documentary had to be downsized. You understand? I don't really believe that, because a documentary is a documentary. And they could have had 45 minutes, they could have had an hour, to each one of those. You understand? They left out certain things. He said they even left out the one about Sarah Chapman. You understand? And for whatever reason, he probably left out a lot of other different stars too. Situations that they could have spoke about. You understand? I have a problem with the documentary, and I'm just gonna let you know that the reason I have a problem with the documentary is that they know that they took my idea. You understand? They know that when I came to them, I laid out what they should do and how the documentary should be. You understand? She could say whatever she want to say. I talked to those producers before I even talked to her. They wanted to know what I had, what I was bringing, my pictures, all that stuff like that. And I told them about me, Tim, and Kirk. You understand what I'm saying? And how it would go. They did the same thing. This ain't the first time they stole from me, man. If you look at the Notorious Big, if you watch the Notorious Big, that part about the shoes, I had that in my book. And I was talking to K.O. Copeland. He was one of the writers of that movie. And I told him about when I let Big use my shoes at Soul Train Award. You had this old flunky ass dude, Mike B, get on Angie Martinez's show and talk about, yo, Big, he wore mixed max shoes and he went out there and performed. When you go look at the film, when you go look at Big performing that on that show, ain't nothing mixed match about them shoes. There was $800 Maury's, size 14D, Big World 14E. E means that his shoes is a little wider than mine. He struggled, but he put them on and he went out there and performed. Those was my Gators that he had on. You understand? They did a little skit trying to disrespect me in the movie. You understand? And they said something about, we got from Big.
Or forces behind the scenes are no longer protecting him. But for many viewers, the most suspicious part of the documentary wasn't what it showed. It was what it barely mentioned. Kim Porter, Diddy's longtime partner, the mother of his children, a woman who spent years at the center of his world. She passed away suddenly in 2018 at just 47 years old. The official cause was pneumonia. Simple, clean, clinical. But many believe her story runs far deeper. She was there for everything. The parties, the business deals, the private moments no cameras captured. Yet in a documentary dissecting Diddy's life and controversies, her presence was reduced to a few photos and a brief acknowledgement. Then the narrative moved on. For someone so central, that silence was deafening. Multiple sources have suggested her role was intentionally minimized, too sensitive, too controversial.